Fox 11 is on special assignment tonight. There's an ongoing emergency at the 911 dispatch center in Brown County. Concerns are mounting that high employee turnover might be leading to costly mistakes by inexperienced and overworked employees. Fox 11's Mark Leland examines the problem and finds it's not only costing you money, but some say it could endanger lives.
Brown County 911 with the address for your emergency.
There's a fire, smoke coming out.
Calls for help ring into the Brown County 911 Communication Center 24 hours a day. These operators have heard it all, and yet each emergency call offers new challenges.
Smoke and flames. Do you see flames?
These operators, whose faces we were asked not to show, are your first step in getting help. In many cases, life-saving help involving split-second decisions. You depend on the operators as they dispatch police officers, fire crews, and sheriff's deputies into potentially dangerous situations.
There's certain situations that you don't know how to react to unless you've done it or you've used your training or your skills from past experience as well to work through it.
Crystal Dubois spent 11 years as a dispatcher, rising to the rank of lead supervisor before quitting in frustration 6 months ago. She tells us she was burnt out from the long hours, poor morale, and a reduction in benefits.
It felt like they were taking more and more away. We were expected to do more. And I think that was the straw for a lot of us.
That's right, her departure wasn't the only one. 15 dispatchers left the center last year. In 2011, there were 14 who quit, leaving the dispatch center not only shorthanded, but with management struggling to fill the gaps vacated by veteran dispatchers.
Correct. And there's some concern among the agencies that you work for, the police, the fire, the sheriff's department, that the new workers are young. They're more likely to make a mistake than maybe a seasoned veteran.
Well, that's why we put them through an extensive training program. That's why it takes 13 weeks just to get them onto the floor and get them onto the calls.
And that training comes with an added cost to taxpayers. More on that later. But while that training is going on, those call takers and dispatchers left to fill the missing gaps are forced to work longer hours, day after day after day, and that has gone on now for 2 years.
The stress from the calls, it's kind of like getting, I always accumulate, like getting punched in the stomach and then saying, okay, thank you, can I have another? You know, so you don't got that time to recover from it.
Current Brown County 911 dispatchers declined comment on camera. Not that they didn't have anything to say, they were concerned about speaking out. But we were able to get their perspective by talking with former dispatcher Jason Lemons, who quit back in 2011. Since he left, he says his former coworkers tell him the problems he faced have only gotten worse.
There's a time that they're going to need to, as far as get some decisions, get the morale up, to be honest. Otherwise, it's going to just spiral out of control.
Do you acknowledge that overburdened, overworked, stressed out operators could lead to problems?
Well, there is that potential. Again,
Colin Peltier is the interim director in charge of the Brown County Public Safety Communications Center. He was appointed to the post back in September. His mission was to fix the staffing problems that plagued the department for nearly 2 years, problems that could mean dangerous outcomes on those 911 calls for help.
Why did it take so long to make such a change?
You know, that's not really for me to say. All I was asked is to come in here. We have some issues. Can you help us?
At the same time Peltier began to assess the problems, representatives from Green Bay Police, Fire, and the Brown County Sheriff's Department began to put together a report on the Communications Center by surveying the employees. The agencies were concerned about bad decisions that could be made by an overworked or underskilled dispatcher. What did the report find? It shows that 85% of the employees surveyed found morale to be not good or poor, and there were 2 key reasons for the bad morale. First, inversing, the requirement to work an extra 4 hours before or after their shift, and second, changes in comp time. It could no longer be banked for time off. Both of those issues stem from a lack of staffing, which is what the report found to be the primary problem. What it didn't find were major mistakes on the part of the dispatchers, putting the public or emergency responders in danger. But the possibility remains a concern.
I do think that they have a valid concern. When you have new trainees, until they find their feet, until they find their groove, there are some things that they do forget to ask.
Obviously, that's a concern for you, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Peltier does admit mistakes are made. He estimates up to 5 complaints are received each month out of some 5,000 calls.
Are they being made because employees are working long hours?
You know, typically not, and it'd be really hard to determine what that is. These are maybe a sustainable complaint. However, none of them had any life-threatening implications to these.
Inversing was one of the biggest problems.
That it remains a problem with the low number of staffing, again, because we still haven't gotten everybody onto the floor.
But Peltier says the first class of 4 new recruits just recently began taking calls, while a second training class of 4 just got underway. A third class of 4 will get underway soon. If all make it through the training and no one else quits, the center would be fully staffed with 63 telecommunicators.
When you lose 14 or 15 people year after year there, it is hard to recover. It puts you in a bad position here.
It does put us in a bad position.
And the high department turnover is proving to be costly for taxpayers. Peltier estimates the initial cost of training to take calls is about $15,000 for each new employee. But to be fully trained in dispatching for the various police and fire agencies, it takes a full year. Add the cost of the trainers, and the total training price tag is $76,800. To fully train replacements for all 15 seasoned employees who left last year would be more than $1 million. That figure was provided to the county's Public Safety Committee by Communications Center employees a year ago when it became clear there was a turnover problem. Peltier doesn't dispute the figure.
And I do truly believe that we're making progress. And, you know, my goal is that we aren't doing stories like this next year.
On special assignment, Mark Leland, Fox 11 News.
The interim director tells us he has implemented employee recognition programs to try and improve morale. He's also working with staff on a better scheduling method. Now, you can find the report on the Communications Center that includes the employee survey findings in the Newslink section at fox11online.com.